Hello, everybody. How are you doing? I see that there are already some people here. Curious to know where you're watching this video from, and I hope to make it engaging. Let's see how many people are going to show up. Have prepared something for you here. And the idea of this session is to answer anything you would like about product discovery. So I hope you have prepared some questions. Maybe you could start writing in the comment where are you from and what you expect from today. There are only a few people here, but let's see. There were 700 subscribers, so I expect some more people to show up. I know it's summer. Some people are just enjoying the time with family and enjoying the good weather, mainly here in Europe. Yeah. So curious to hear where you're from, what you expect from today, and then we can start interacting. So for those of you who don't know, I'm from Brazil, but I'm sitting here in Germany, Munich to be more specific, and I'm very eager to learn from you. So we see someone already here from Poland. Hello from Poland. Been there recently. Actually, I went to Krakow for the Agile Swarming sponsored by Motorola. It was in April. It was an amazing event. I gave a keynote there. Are you doing product management or bullshit management? It was amazing. I see someone from the USA. Yeah. Not sure what to expect, but excited. That's fine. We're going to interact here with some things. I have prepared some Mentimeters to understand where you are in product discovery, your current practices, and so on. And then we will open for questions. So it will be an interactive session. I hope so. Just waiting a few more minutes to see if more people would show up. Because it's surprising to see the number here. There were a lot of subscribers to the event, 700. So very curious. Someone saying we used to work for Infineon, currently in California. Curiously, that Infineon was one client of a company I worked for, actually an agency. I didn't work directly with Infineon, but some of my team members were product managers or scrum masters for Infineon and software engineers as well. Nice. I see people from Bosnia. So we have people from all over the place here. That's quite nice. Let's start then by answering a few things here. I'm posting one link here. Hope you can see. I just put on the chat. It is a Mentimeter, and this is a quiz, just for fun. Let's see what do you know. Some of you may have seen this quiz already. I see Giovanni here, but the idea of the quiz is to get the same knowledge as you, where you stand in product discovery, and then we will do another check before we go to the Q&A. So I'm gonna share my screen, and then we are gonna go from there. So hope you can join the Mentimeter. I see already 6 players. Let's see if some of you can join. For those who are coming right now, there's a link in the chat. Yeah, I'm gonna activate the Mentimeter. You're right, I need to. Just waiting if more players will come. I see 8 players now. Let's see if some more will just show up here. Yeah, more players. That's cool. 11, 12. All right. So let's just start here with the ones who are here. Very simple question to you. What's product discovery for you? So how do you see that? A process to gather requirements, a way of learning from real users and uncover opportunities. A method to ensure you create value with features you deliver. So how do you perceive that? Curious to hear from you. So this one had some diversion. Maybe here there's something for us to talk. So yes, there is one tricky aspect. The last one, if you look there, I said a method to ensure you create value with features you deliver. The truth is, you cannot ensure you create value. You can increase the odds of creating value. You can for sure maximize the chance of dropping bad ideas on the way, but you cannot guarantee you create value because only users will tell you that. So that is the word I put as a tricky one here, but it is a way of learning. So the real goal of discovery is to separate the bad ideas from the good ones. That means learning what ticks for end users. Next question. When could you benefit from product discovery techniques? How do you see that? Before you implement a feature, during the whole product life cycle, or only when you have an idea and want to learn from end users? So what do you think? Let's see what we get here as an answer. Wow, this one clear. That's it. That's true. You can benefit from the whole product life cycle. The first one, it wouldn't be wrong, and it might be the only option in some organizations. Some organizations already have the feature defined. You can still benefit from doing product discovery before the feature. You already have the solution, but you can test the assumptions behind it and see if they stand true. All right, so just one more question, and then we do a check here. 14 players, some more people joined. How should you balance between discovery and delivery? What do you think? 75% discovery and 25 delivery? 25% discovery, 75 delivery, or 50-50? How do you see that? This is a tricky question, but pay attention. The question is, how should you balance? Not how you balance currently. What would be a mindful one? That's interesting. Interesting. It seems that some of you would disagree with me, but it is 75% discovery. There's a reason for that. 9 out of 10 ideas will fail. We need to find the bad ones as quick as possible. So that's the reason you need to focus more on discovery. So we are gonna identify the bad ideas and then you can commit to the others. So there's a lot of work there. I would say if you get to a situation where you have 50-50, that's kind of good enough already, because that's not the scenario for most teams. It's very hard to get to the 50-50. Here's looking to the ideal scenario. But if you have only 25% discovery, there's a chance you are making strong commitments to output, and that will trap you. All right. 80-20. That's it. So let's see who was the winner of this one. Curious. TJ was the winner. So for the winner, I would offer a link coffee with me just to chat, 25 minutes. Just ping me on LinkedIn and we are going to schedule. So it will be a pleasure exchanging with you. All right. So we have another Mentimeter before I open to the Q&A, and that's very important because it will help me understand how discovery is in your reality. What we did now is your perception. Very simple exercise. So this is the other one that I would like to do with you. I call it as a discovery check. So for those who arrived late, you can find the link for the next Mentimeter in the chat. I just posted here. Or you can go to menti.com and just type these numbers. It will also work. And there are many words here. There are many things that I would like to check with you. So even check here if it makes it bigger. Yeah, so it makes it big. So what we have here, the idea is how often do you observe the following in your scenario? And when we look at the first, work to drive clearly defined business outcome. Discovery is not something that you go there and you start just exploring out of the blue and you have no guidance. You need to have what you want to achieve. That needs to be very clear to you. Because sometimes I see teams working towards something, they just don't know what this something is. So that is really challenging. So that is why it is important to have the business outcome defined. All right, first answers are coming here. And this is not about judging, it is about facing reality. Because only when we face reality, we can find the opportunities to do something different. So I'm looking at the numbers here. Generally, the second one tends to be quite challenging. Interview one customer a week, at least one customer a week. The third one, uncover customers' pains, needs, and wish, and connect to business outcome. Because one thing is uncovering opportunities, so to say, but how do you benefit from them? Are you connecting them to something bigger, or are you just uncovering things, but you don't know what to do? And the other here, focus on solving one customer opportunity at a time. It's quite challenging. I know the pain. Stakeholders are going to push you to commit for more at the same time. They think the more you start in parallel, the more you deliver. I think it's important to follow a principle. Start finishing and stop starting, because you need to finish things, not to start multiple things, because this will stretch the team very thin. And what about the ideation? How does that happen? Do you do an ideation solving problems or an ideation of implementing solutions? So you need to know exactly the problem you're solving, then you come up with solutions. And the others are related to the assumptions. Highly important to know what we don't know. What are we assuming to happen? Because we may think something is going to happen, it doesn't mean it will happen in reality. So once you name the assumptions, you have the chance of defining what is critical for your business idea, so to say, and where you lack evidence. The most critical it is, and the weaker the evidence, that means you need to test, because these are the critical ones. Some things they are not business critical, so you can ignore, that's fine. But you need to identify assumptions, categorize them, and that's the most important. So I see here some numbers. There were already some answers. Might be that some of you will also answer more, but I see some opportunities here, and that can make it easier for me to give you examples when we are going to the questions. So thanks for sharing this one. And now we go to the Q&A. That was about this session. So we're going to have at least, let's say here, I'm looking at the time. We're going to have at least 40 minutes of Q&A. And then I have a surprise for you at the end that will take around 5 minutes. So let's go here for the Q&A. And I will also give you the link right now. And how does this work? So this works very simple. So you post some questions here, and then you have the chance of voting on the questions that you want me to address. So the most voted questions will show first to me. Let's start like that. I posted here the link. It will work in two ways. You can go here to Mentimeter directly. You can use the link. You can read the QR code. And then we will interact. So for now, post the questions. Let's take here some minutes, at least 2 minutes. Use the link I shared. Post any question that you would like to ask about product discovery. Then I will answer the most voted ones. I may bring some material, some example, but first it's on you. What do you want to learn from me? So I will give you 2 minutes and I will just be here around. If you have any questions, you can post here in the comments. I'm reading them. So we see already some questions coming. I'm not going to start answering directly. I'm waiting until more questions come here because you have the chance of voting. I already see an interesting question coming here. How to identify what users really need instead of what they say they need. It's funny, if users say they need something, generally say they want, but what they say they want and they need is different, but sometimes they say they need and it's different than what they really need. So that's a hard question, it's not simple, but we can talk about it. See already some questions popping in. All right, this one is highly voted. Quite interesting. 5 questions. Okay. Waiting 1 more minute and see how many questions will pop in here, and then we go. How much effort do you spend on short-term goal vision versus long-term? And how do you decide how long-term to think about it? It's more a strategic question than a discovery, but I can elaborate on this for sure. Difficulty of product discovery in B2B setup compared to B2C, your views? Yes, I can tell you this is harder. I've been working the B2B recently and I feel the pain here. I would share some things with you. In a situation where engineering moved forward fast into delivery without enough discovery, how can a late joiner, product person best come in and request that pause and discovery be done? I have some stories on this. Thoughts on service as a product in terms of consulting? Need to think about it? May have. Let's see. How often did you face a situation where you did due diligence only to be overwritten by your boss because he or she feels differently? Yeah, we'll talk about this one. All right, so now let's go to the most voted and start. How to identify what the users really need instead of they say what they need. I would say product experiments because there are different things here. One thing is in the interview. So if you ask users what they need, they will tell you precisely what they need. But if you ask them to share a story where they use that, it will be different. There's this classic thing on saying, what would you do in this case? A would question will lead to imagine my perfect self. For example, if you say, what would you eat during the weekend? I may say, I'm going to eat a healthy food because I'm a healthy person. So I want to ensure I stay healthy. But what I really do, I will go to place here. I will eat pizza or maybe a burger because that's what I like the most. What I say and do generally go in different direction. And that's normal. That happens with almost everyone. And users are just people. So one thing is to observe them. That's one example. Observe them in their real scenario. If you're thinking about a product, how they use, how they interact. Go back to stories. Don't ask them to tell you what they would do. Ask them to share stories related to what you want to learn. And then you can create experiments and you can learn that. I can give you a very simple example. Some time ago, I had an idea that was instead of creating video courses, I wanted to create live courses. And what did I do? I thought that people would subscribe to that. I talked to some people and they said what they would like to see in the course. And then I created a survey I sent out and I got more than 300 replies to that. What people would like to see on a course, product owner beyond Scrum. And then I learned that there was some things there, but I was still doubting. So I wanted to see what was really important. So I tested different landing pages. So what I did, I created a landing page on my website and asked people to buy my course. I put in a very affordable price to see how many people would buy. Because when people buy, it shows that they are really interested. It's not what they say they want and the other. So I tested different value proposition, different methods there, different content. I didn't have the course. I didn't create that. I wanted to test what would trigger people to move, to subscribe, and pay for that. So, answering your question, run experiments. Try meeting the users where they are in their normal scenario. Try understanding how they get the job done currently. Then you will find opportunities. Go to real stories. Find product experiments that will help you. Does this give any idea, or is there still some perspective missing that you would like to cover? You can write the comments here and then I can interact. So that is what comes to my mind. There are different ways of running product experiments, but the message is learn as fast as possible. Because if you just run if you take very long to run the experiment, it will be hard for you to start creating value faster. So that would be some of the ideas. All right. Welcome. So I saw, thanks for sharing here. Welcome. Hope it helps. Now I will go to the next one. Okay. This one is quite challenging, as I can see. How can you get buy-in from management that doing discovery is equally important as getting things done, execution? It's funny, right? Because getting things done doesn't mean that you are getting the right things done. So this is about playing a little bit. You need to do your homework, but you need to get management to listen to you and picture different scenarios. You can say, for example, we can focus on features and we can focus on delivering as many features as possible. But what is the problem of committing to features? The problem of committing to features is that we don't know whether they will deliver the expected value for customers and for the business. So that's why it is important to learn that before you commit to something. And how do you convince them? You picture both scenarios. You say, let's say we focus fully on delivery. We deliver at the speed of light, many features and so on. But then none of the features create value. We have lost a lot of time. And then you ask them the question, do you want to lose time? And why is it important to picture this with a no answer? Because when you ask someone a question that leads to a no, they step back and they start listening to you. No one wants to lose time. Because if you ask them, do you want to do it differently? They would say, yeah, maybe, but they wouldn't really consider your question. But when you say, do you want to lose time? They have to digest this question and think what to do. So they would say probably, no, I don't want to lose time. Why do you say that? Then it's your chance to picture a different scenario. You can say that discovery will help you create value faster because you're going to drop bad ideas. And then you can show some statistics. For example, 90% of all startups created today won't exist in 5 years. Why? Because the idea is flawed and it won't work. And then they won't exist after 5 years. Only 10% will make. What happens inside companies is that we tend to forget that. Because companies have many ideas just running there and so on. And what happens is we commit to the idea too fast. and we don't know if this idea is going to work. So you say that product discovery will ensure that you don't deliver faster, but you deliver the right thing faster. Because of course, if you focus on product delivery, you're going to deliver faster, but it's going to be bad. If the style of management is betting, all right, and focus on delivery. If the style of management is learning and creating the right thing, then that's where product discovery can help. I hope that gives you some glimpse of how you can exchange with them. What you can also get the buy-in is about a small experiment. No company focus on a mode that is strong delivery oriented will shift fully to what I said, 75% discovery and 25 delivery. But if you tell them, what if we just run some experiments here? Let's try something. What do we want to achieve? Let's start with the outcome. And from there, we discover and so on. And we compare results. We compare with the feature roadmap and the other. Let's give chance to the team, like 20% of their time, they go with an outcome-oriented roadmap, and we stick with the other 80% with the output. These can give you the chance of create evidence that will give them confidence to switch to the discovery. It is about having small wins. That's an idea that I would have. All right. I see more questions coming in here in the chat. I think it was related to the previous one. So I will just put here, can you suggest how to run product experiments in B2B? Because we usually speak with buyers, admins, rather than actual users. Yeah, it is hard. There is a question here related to that. One of the things in a B2B, you might need to pay to get the users. For example, you can hire an agency to get you in contact with the users. You will need to pay for that. You can assemble a user panel that gets the ones required, and then you exchange for a reward. But you would need to have a build up with the real users, because of course in a B2B you tend to talk to the ones who are going to sign the contract, but these are not the users, and it creates all of this confusion. So a way is a user panel using like these agencies finding the specialists, they can connect you with the users, and the other is a customer advisory board. I will give more examples on this because there is a question about B2B, but I hope that this gives you a glimpse of what you could do. All right. So any more points here that you would like to know about buy-in from management? I'm trying to give you some ideas. I hope some of them can help you. If not, I'm gonna move to the next question because there are several questions here already. Quite excited. Okay, then I'm moving to the next one. How much effort do you spend on short-term goal vision versus long-term? And how do you decide how long-term to think about it? That, as I thought, this one is more related to strategy than discovery. It is of course necessary to have the product strategy to enable discovery in the right direction. Otherwise, it's easy to derail and start doing something else. But to simplify here, it depends on the size of the company. It's hard to give you a direct answer. But I would say that the vision is for sure something beyond 2-3 years. So the vision is where you want to be, and it's more about picturing a scenario. And then the goals, I like quarterly goals or like 6 weeks goals. So this gives enough time for the team to achieve something. And you need to define what is the outcome of this goal. And what is important is to achieve one goal at a time. Of course, if you have multiple teams, you can decide how you're going to do that. Maybe all teams will contribute to the same goal, then they can collaborate. In this case, maybe a 6 weeks goal would be enough. Depending on the scenario, if the teams, they have specific way of working and they work in different parts of the product and they don't have dependencies. They may have different smaller goals contributing to a bigger goal. So it depends. One scenario could be you have the vision 2-3 years plus and you have a product goal, and that could be enough in a smaller setup where you have, for example, 3 to 5 product teams. But if you start having more, then maybe you need the objective key results, and then the teams can come up with product goals contributing to the results. That's generally a setup, but here needs a bit of context to understand that. And you need to look, I tend to say the product discovery as the teams start moving, that's something that you need to look at current scenario. So what are the opportunities that you want to benefit in the short term, like maybe quarter, and what are the opportunities for the future? Because you need to balance with something wild and something more conservative that is for now. In this case, it depends how the team is working, but it's very important to explore with ideas that are not going to be implemented right now, but you want to see how the market perceive it, how your audience perceive it. Because if you are always trying the ideas you can implement tomorrow, then for sure you're not going to innovate because you're not looking farther in the future. So there's a balance there, which I cannot give you in percentage, but I would say it's something that needs to happen. Otherwise, innovation will be tricky to take place if you're not trying things differently. All right. So let's take more questions. I see the questions keep popping in here. That's quite interesting. I think I moved one by chance. Sorry. So difficulty of product discovery in B2B setup compared to B2C. Your views. This is a continuation of how I answered the experimentation in the B2C. So the B2B, one of the challenges is getting in contact with the end users. And you need both. Because if you try getting something the end users care about, but let's say that the buying centers or the customer is not willing to pay, will be very hard for you to make that something you can convert. It is important for you to connect with the ones who pay the bill and understand what they want to achieve, what is the goal for them, what is the value, and then you can talk to the end users and try searching for opportunity to create that. For example, it might be efficiency, it might be security, it might be other aspects, it depends, might be flexibility, it might be control also, and then it would be a conflict with some end users potentially. It depends on your product. But the difference in the setup is that the B2C will be naturally easier for you to recruit end users and run experiments. In a B2B, you need to adapt that. I mentioned about the user panel because you can set that up, but you need to do some work in advance. First, you need to know where you find your end users. Some ideas for you. What about talking to the HR of companies that use your product and understand where they hire those people? And then there is a place where you can find your end users and start assembling your user panel. This is one idea. So you assemble your user panel, then whenever you have a test, you recruit them to run it. And you will need to give them a reward. Most probably the reward will be more than you would give to a B2C, because this is a more specialized area. And I can tell you, the more specialized, the more expensive it's going to be. So you need to be prepared for that. But in a B2B, also, the ticket of the product is higher. So it was way more expensive. And a customer advisor board, depending on the stage of the product, you also need to understand this. Are you pre-go-to-market? Are you in the market? Are you scaling up market fit? So which stage are you in? That will help you understand who you should approach. Considering you are already in the market, you have already some customers using your product. Ideally, in your customer advisory board, you get your ICPs, ideal customer profile. I hear a lot of people saying that customer is king, but I would urge not customer is king. Ideal customer profile is king. So you need to talk to them. And the customer advisor board would help you run experiments, and they wouldn't tell you what to do, but they would be willing to support you in growing the product. Don't make that too big. Make that like 6, maybe 8 people that can help you gain perspective. This is some of the ideas I could give it to you, but it is more complex and it's slower than a B2C. So, but it doesn't mean you should skip it. Actually, it means you should really do it, because if you don't, you're gonna face unpleasant surprise. I hope that helps with some insights. Let's take some more questions here. How do you manage the scope of discovery to ensure the efforts of learning are bringing value to the organization and team? This is related to the business outcome I told you, remember? So you need to define the business outcome, where you want to land. Because if you don't know that, chances are pretty high you're going to run in wrong directions. So this is something that needs to take place before you start trying to discover everything. So I'm going to share one screen here with you probably, and then hopefully that can give you some ideas. So I'm just gonna change the screen I'm sharing, and I will give another, because you need to see the big picture of discovery. I'm gonna share then. Interesting that it didn't show here to share this one. Just a moment, and then I will share it with you. Okay, so now here we go. I'm gonna share the big picture. Yeah, here we go. So what happens? In a product discovery, you start with the business outcome, and that defines precisely what do you want to drive, but not only what you want to drive, because if you say, I want to increase conversion rate, yeah, of course, everyone wants that, but then let's do it very simply. You just dump the price and immediately increase conversion rate. Well, goal is achieved. But you need to think about the trade-off you're willing to make and what you are unwilling to lose. For example, I want to increase conversion rate, even if that increase the cost of the customer acquisition cost. So if it increases, you don't care, you are fine with that. But you are unwilling to sacrifice margin. So you say the margin needs to stay at a minimum level in terms of revenue. So this is one example. Define what you are willing to sacrifice and unwilling. Then from the business outcome, you can go to the other aspects. Then you can understand your customer journey and see how they use your product. And then you can try searching for opportunities that would lead to the business outcome. And from there, you prioritize the opportunities that would enable you to reach the most promising business goals. And from that, you can come up with solutions, define assumptions behind the solutions, and test them. And how do you guarantee this? Time box. You need to time box what you want to achieve and then see what fits inside there. Here, I wanted to give you a diagram, but it's not a diagram. It is like a road. It's more like a journey, and you are the driver. You choose where to go. Sometimes you will be uncovering opportunities and you will realize you don't find anything to drive the business outcomes, but you have found something that instead of driving conversion rate, actually it could increase retention. It could increase returning rate or something like this. And then you say, what about delivering value on this? It sounds like a low hanging fruit. Then you can go back and adapt the business outcome. But how do you ensure understanding on this and delivering value? You do that by creating a time box. You say discover will run and this time, and it's combined. You need to learn something. Because if you leave it open and fluffy, yeah, people will invest all the time in the role they have trying to learn something. So time box will be a friend for you and a tool as well. All right. So I hope this one helps you. Now I go back to this part here, and we're going to address some other questions. How do you orient an organization around investing in discovery efforts? This one is very related to what I shared before. Try getting a commitment and evidence. One thing that you could do, I didn't mention before, was the following. You could look at the features you have delivered recently and compare with the expectations. How are they creating value for end users? How are they enabling the business to grow? Just compare the features. And if you're not doing product discovery, big chance that the features created lately are not creating any value. And one or another will be creating value, but not all of them. And then you compare and you present to management and to the organization what the results of those features were and the costs. You don't need to make a strong project management argument on that, but you can say this was done during one sprint, and one sprint cost maybe $25,000, and that was the cost of this feature. This was done in 2 sprints, $50,000. And guess what gave us back? Nothing. So you look at them. That's where we are. Do we want to stay here in a scenario where most features don't deliver value? If that's the case, then we should just focus on delivery. If not, let's talk about something else. You can also collect feedback from customers and see how they use a feature. You can use heat map, you can use different tools, but try understanding what your recent work resulted. And from there, you can have a discussion. All right. Hope this helps. If you want to know more, you can also drop some more information, more questions in the comments and so on. I'm going through the questions here and they don't seem to finish. I'm afraid we won't have time for everything. You can vote on the ones that are more important for you. And that's the ones I'm tackling because they show up here, the ones with most votes. There is another one here. Can you provide some examples on how strategy drives discovery? I'd be great to get sense of how to articulate guardrails. So a strategy should provide you some direction. For example, when you think about discovery, let's picture a scenario without strategy. What happens? Let's picture the vision. Just you know where you want to be. But then you go to discovery. There's a gap here. It's quite big. Where do you start? Strategy would tell you the audience that we would go. For example, let's say that you are in a moment you are scaling your product. You have proven market fit and you are successful in your region. What is the strategy? Is it to upsell to current customers, or is it to expand your customer base? Is it to expand national or international? You're going to go abroad or not? This is an example of strategy. And another aspect of strategy, if you are growing, are you willing to sacrifice your profits to get more customers? So you bump investment into marketing and it's okay because you want to grow and continuously grow, or not. You want to grow in a more sustainable way. You could say, we want to grow organically and it's important to do that. So that is a different type of discovery. You would need to understand what helps user come to your product. Maybe you have already customers that are promoters. You could enable them to bring more customers to you. Or maybe you have different channels that work. But the strategy would set the conditions for you. Which audience to target, why to target them, which tools you have to play the game, and what is your unfair advantage and how to take benefit from that. This would give you enough constraints to do product discovery in a better way. Because without these constraints, imagine you just know that the goal is growth, and then you can do everything. So it will be complicated because that will enforce you to have many discussions with everyone around you because the strategy is unclear. So the strategy needs to answer questions on your customer segment, why them, how to get to them, and important aspects. That paved the way for product discovery. As I said, if you have any questions, you can just drop them here in the comments and then we can interact. Sad that I don't see your face here. We are just live. I'm just talking here. I hope you are understanding and you are benefiting from this content. I'm just gonna drink some water and then we go to the next one, unless you comment something and I will engage with you. All right, I see no more comments coming here. Let's go to the next question then. It's funny that whenever I press enter here, it appears a new question. When we started, there were 8 questions. And then I answered, I think at least 4 or 5 and keep coming. And now there are 12. I'm afraid I won't be able to answer all the questions here, but I'm doing my best to answer the ones possible. Let's take this one. How often did you face a situation where you did due diligence only to be overwritten by your boss because she feels differently? Well, several times I would say in different scenarios. I faced this inside the company, like being a product manager for an internal product, that's an example, a product manager for an external product, or a product manager consultant for another company. I faced this situation several times and I always got frustrated. I didn't know how to deal with that, but I made peace with this, finding a way of understanding who make the calls. Am I empowered to make this decision or not? If it's my boss who is empowered, or if it is the client I am consulting, I will just make clear that the person understands the scenario. I can give you an example. In one of the consultancies I worked, we had a situation that the customer wanted to digitize one process. And the customer said, we know what to do exactly. And they said, we have this process, it's done manually. We want to digitize and put inside our product. I said, all right. So let's start talking to your users and understand some important aspects for them. I said, no. You're not going to talk to anyone. We know what they want and we know how to create that. And at that moment, I felt the problem already. But still, we managed to talk to some customers and we saw how conflicting that was with the ideas from our clients, the ones paying the bills to us, because we were a digital agency. And the client was very reluctant, saying, I feel this is not how it should be. It should be the way we say, and the customers are going to use it. I said, all right, so let me tell you what's going to happen. We can do your way. You decide. That's all fine. We're going to do as you want. But I need to recommend you what is best. Because as a professional who is experienced on this, I have seen that failing because we didn't do the user experience right. We didn't understand the user. We didn't explore that. So I am recommending you to apply product discovery here, and then we do it incrementally instead of doing a waterfall. If we go my way, it will be different than what you're doing. We will learn, and probably the idea will turn out to be slightly different, but it will work. And the other way, we will think it's going to work. We're going to follow the plan, but once we put it live, we're going to be surprised. And then you're going to lose money because we need to adapt the solution once it's too big. It's your choice. I clearly recommend to go the way I explained. The customer looked at me and said, I want to go my way. And I said, all right, it's your choice, but I'm telling you, it's very dangerous and you may be disappointed. What I did was to ensure we would fail as fast as possible. Of course, I tried with the team to succeed. That was an honest attempt we had. We didn't want to fail, but we wanted to expose the result as fast as possible. That took us around 2 sprints to be able to expose something and test with the real customers. And once that happened, they look at us and, huh? What is this for? I don't understand. I don't understand how to use this. What is this? It was very confusing. And I ensured that the clients who ordered us to do that were in the room and they could see the reaction. So that reaction made them look at me after and say, all right, let's do it differently. We understand now. So it took them some pain because pain teaches you. Lecturing doesn't work, but I made it clear. So this is an example. You made the trade-offs clear and what happens if you go A, if you go B. And you do a recommendation. Of course, I didn't want to do the way the client wanted, but I had to keep the relationship. As an agency, we get paid for that. It was a suboptimal scenario. The client lost some money, but learned. And then after we could change, and then it worked. All right. So I see another question here. For an enterprise software we are building, I try to back up my discovery with data and facts with my boss. Guess what happened when companies start dropping jobs early this year? Well, maybe you got a better opportunity. Maybe you got a promotion to the market and you find a place where they value your talent. I say that I prefer stating my opinion than being frustrated. I prefer stating what I stand for. I stand for creating value. I don't stand for creating bullshit. So I say that, and if some people don't like it, but I still think there's always a place in the market that would open doors for people who think like me, who is passionate about product management and wants to create value. And if you think like that, just stay to your principle, stay true to yourself and stand for that. That's gonna work. All right, before I take more questions, I want to give you some sugar here. So we're talking a lot about product discovery and we are seeing how complex this is, and I know that. And that's why I have created this cohort course. It's called Product Discovery Done Right. The idea is to equip you to deal with all of these things. This is the second time I'm running this cohort. As you can see, we have already some reviews here. There's some testimonials. You can see what people think about it and so on and how they like it. The second version is going to be even better than the first one. I have adapted. It's going to be 4 sessions and it's going to be live and interactive. We're going to do that through Zoom. Everything is going to be recorded so you can get access. The idea is to get professionals here and then we can practice and do product discovery together. And we go from beginning to the end on the basics and also the experiments and so on. You're going to get a lot of material. It will be fun. So the second one is going to start at the end of August. And for those who attended this session here, I'm giving to you an early bird discount of 30%. This is valid until the end of this month. So if you come here and you join, you are going to get 30% off. And then the price will be a bit different for you. So I entered the waiting list. Such a stupid guy. Sorry. I want just to show you the discount you are going to get, because the normal price is $4.99. But once you apply this early discount, then it's going to be $3.50. That is for only those who applied here. And this course, it's really about hands-on, because I attended too many courses and I hate when it's theoretical. This is about real-world examples. This is about giving you material to accelerate discovery. You're going to receive templates, material, stories. You're going to practice, receive feedback directly from me during your exercises. We're going to make this as active and engaging as possible. So if you want to know how to master product discovery and practice, you can join this, and until end of this month, you are going to benefit from 30% off. That would be it for. So that was the offer. I wanted to give it to you. Join the product discovery and let's rock the product road together. I'm going to equip you to make it right. If you have any questions about this course, you can ask here, you can drop me a message on LinkedIn, and I would be more than glad to answer and to help you understand. Because I don't want you to attend here just for the sake of attending. I want you to attend here and benefit as the other students did. Because I want you to get value from the course, not something that I just want to sell. Because I am on a mission of helping people create value and defeat all the bullshit ahead of them. I don't want people trapped in the feature factory. I want them to bring their best to work. All right. So that was it. I wanted to give it to you, but we have 5 more minutes. I'm gonna answer one more question that you have, and from there we can wrap up the session here. Thoughts on service as a product? I think you can use service as a product, consulting. I have been thinking of myself as a product all the time, which value I create, where I say yes to, where I say no to. So for me, for example, it is very important to equip people to deal with all the challenges they face. So the more people I can reach, the more important to me. But it's also important to see the results. So I am very mindful to what I say yes or no to, and to the audience I'm going to engage with. So I think it is important, if you're going to go that way, treating a consulting as a product, think about the value proposition, think about what you create, and then you can create, you can define what kind of services you have and you offer that is easy to identify. When I imagine myself as a product, I offer consulting, I offer training, I offer keynote speak, and that are the package. And then could be something personalized. That's a way, I imagine. But start with the value proposition, create a strategy, and continuously adapt. It's very important also to test what works with your audience, because you're going to see that some things, they don't really work, and then you can adapt. That's how it works with product. You can do the same. We take this one as the last one. In a situation where engineering moved forward fast into delivery without enough discovery, how can a late joiner, product person, best come in and request that pause? I happen to be in a case like that. And when I ask, like, why are we doing what we are doing? No one could answer that. I got really scared because for me, it was clear we're going to hit the wall. If we don't know why we're doing what we're doing, it's very unlikely we're going to get anywhere. So then I ask, what does success look like when we finish this, what we're doing? There was certain definition there. And then I said, okay, so can we name what we assume to happen when we put this solution live? That didn't work very well. But then I asked another question. I said, let's imagine another scenario here. I want to be honest, and I asked the engineers, how long do you think you still need to work on this? The engineers told me, probably 3 more months or maybe even 4. I said, all right, let's picture a scenario where we finish this and it goes completely wrong. We don't get to the result we wanted. I said, why would that happen? I said, that's what I asked you. Why would that happen? And then the software engineers start pointing some things there. For example, what we create here, customers don't use, or customers don't understand how to use. So they named the assumptions. And I said, okay, so what you're saying, we assume that customers will understand how to use. We assume that customers are interested in that. And I said, what if we start trying this out. We try discovering and get evidence. And that created an opener because the engineers didn't want to lose their time. They didn't want to create something nobody wanted. So I helped them see the problem I was seeing. I asked questions and I asked them to come up with the assumptions that were not addressed. And then from there, we could work. Use your fresh perspective to help the others understand. This is a way you can move. Hope that helps. All right. It was a pleasure talking to all of you. I hope you got enough insight from this hour. And as I said, if you want to know how to benefit from product discovery done right, learn how to get buy-in from management and apply that from 0 to 1, join my cohort and I'll be happy to help you. Hope everyone had a good time here. So for those in Europe, I wish you a nice evening. In the USA, a nice rest of the day, and good time. Have a good one. Thanks for joining. Highly appreciate that. And as I said, if you have any question, just drop me a message. See you then. Bye bye.